Hello everyone and welcome to Facebook Live from Overseas Point. My name is Zimmy Stewart and today I am going to talk on the topic education and employment, the issues and the challenges in India. The purpose is to find the relationship of education and employment to get the main idea how education affects the employment scenario. To find the best possible correlation that among these two terms, the issue of education and employment exist in different contexts in modern times, while the nature of modern living is responsible for it in some sense. People's orientation towards this issue is also responsible for it. Education means acquisition of knowledge, while employment is about earning one's livelihood. So education awakens one's intellect and broadens his or her capacities. It bestows on his or her superior will and confidence. All this empowers one to act best in his or her chosen field. We can say that the purpose of education had been earned if the person acquires these abilities. The question of earning livelihood is not necessarily connected with education. We can see all around persons who receive little or no educations, yet are skilled and successful businessmen. Many times they are seen much more successful than the educated one, but this does not discredit the value of education. Education is must if he or she wishes to evolve. It can be said that the issue of education is linked with how it can bring better jobs. We are witnessing a senseless race of diplomas and degrees these days. Everyone wants to secure degrees using fair or unfair means because he or she sees it almost a guarantee of good jobs. Parents too wish to send their children to good schools or colleges in hope of education and has made it a business. It is this mentality that has corrupted the purpose of education and has made it a business. And if it is so, why not make education employment oriented in our countries where a large section is either unemployed or not well paid off? It is but natural for them to see education the means of getting a livelihood. In this current scenario where prices skyrocket and it is difficult securing the basic amenities too, the educated mind do think of material gains. If the other sections think along these lines, it is hardly unexpected. So let us consider bridging the gap between education and unemployment. Indian universities produce billions of graduates every year, but about just 20% of them are absorbed into various industries. An unemployable workforce is at the core of India's employment crisis. The journey from education to employability is something that every stakeholder in society watches keenly. The primary stakeholders like fresh graduates and the parents eagerly wait for this day with lots of dreams in their eyes. The industry wants a skilled workforce that can hit the ground running. The state exchequer wants more tax dollars in its coffers. The consumer market wants more purchasing power, and the society at large wants productive and skilled contributors in this eternal journey of human progress. India will emerge as the youngest country in the world with a median age of 29 years. According to a recent survey by HHRM, that's Society for Human Resource Management, and an expert, a convener, and a thoughtful leader on issues impacting today's evolving workplaces, millennial or the Gen Y will comprise 50% of India's workforce by 2020, and by 2025 this percentage will increase to 75%. In order to reap the dividend of this demographic advantage, only having young workforce only having a young workforce is not enough. So we must also evaluate the employability of these individuals. The unfortunate reality is that less than 25% of the MBAs and 20% of engineers and 10% of all graduates in India are found to be employable. According to the Associated Chamber of Commerce and Industry of India's report, only 20% of 5 million graduates every year gets employed. This transition from campus to office may not always be very smooth one, primarily because of the gap between the industries expect and what the academic dishes out. So I just wanted to rephrase it once again. The transition from campus to office may not always be very smooth, primarily because of the gap between what the industry expects. Industry expects you to have more experience as you have studied, and what the academia dishes out, which means you may be familiar with lots of academic knowledge. So many blue chips corporate who recruits from campuses ends up having to train new recruits for 4 to 6 months before putting them on the job. They try to finish the unfinished jobs of the academic institutions of delivering productive resources. Many of them have even instituted tests for new trainees a few weeks into the training. So let us take a closer look at some of the key points which may help in bridging the gap. The first point is conceptual clarity. So one must appreciate that life is an open book exam. When you try to work on an assignment, you will have all theoretical knowledge at your disposal. Nobody will hire you for memorizing them and replacing textbooks as it doesn't add any value. So they will, however, want you as a part of the team and value your availability to apply those theories which you have learned in your classes in real life situations to solve practical problem. So open book exams with simulation and case studies are need of present times, so that new age students clearly comes out of the habit of memorizing, or we say by heart, and instead becomes adept in critical thinking to develop logical and analytical abilities. And the next point is communicative effectiveness. So conceptual clarity and understanding won't take you very far unless you are able to express it in a lucid manner. Your ability to communicate exhibits confidence, objectivity, and maturity of a 360-degree perspective. Traditional chalk and talk method and a one-size-fits-all narrative that was started by Lord Macaulay in 1835 are not enough. Students rarely get customized mentoring and the space to grow as separate, mature, and confident individuals. And thus, in most cases, they are not even aware of their individual strengths and develop needs. So it's time that we start respecting individuality and stop convenient clubbing based on the age alone. So improving PTR, that's pupil-teacher ratio, and focusing on skills like public speaking on random topics of interest, encouraging active participation in sports and cultural events, student exchange programs, social works, festivals, etc. May help in this regard. So academia needs to appreciate that it is their responsibility to deliver a pathway to holistic development. It is high time that we stop underselling ourselves and take greater pride in who we are and what we represent. The objective of our education system cannot be confined to create bookworms who can slog long hours of memorize the text. We need creative, confident, and complete individuals who can carry the baton forwards. And the next, the topic is industry interactions. So, getting the hang of the industry through internship, taking part in family business after college hours, taking a summer job, or trying your hands at any sort of entrepreneurial venture, irrespective of how small or big it is, even if it means setting up a food stall in your college fest, will expose you to real life challenges and will also teach you how to deal with the challenges. It is very important to rope in educators with industry experience in various academic institutes as full-time or part-time faculties. These people are expected to have more practical and objective outlooks toward the requirements of the industry and can help in mentoring and shaping your minds. The next point is teamwork. So most examinations are essentially structured in a manner to assess your individual student in terms of his or her knowledge on the syllabus and don't assess her or him in terms of building or group work skills. However, the moment a student steps out of the campus and walks into professional phase of life, chances are that she or he will be a part of a larger ecosystem. So the student, now a young professional, has to learn how to consider divergent views and conflicting interests into considerations and yet manage to keep the flock together to deliver years after years. So participation in team sports, cultural activities like theater, group discussion can help to a great extent. And the next point is multitasking. So it is very important to be able to manage and prioritize your task list. There cannot be any universally applicable formula for this. It has to be based on a host of factors, including the urgency involved, materially factor, the source of the request, etc. So if you lead an active student life wherein you have been able to have time to develop varied interests like music, rock climbing, sports, cooking, community service, and yet manage to balance those priorities and do well in studies, then you would find it much easier to adapt to this. So smart work and not mere hard work is the need of this hour. And the last point is other indispensable skills. So as you move higher to the value chain in any organization, you would find it increasingly important to develop and exhibit a sense of ownership, professionalism, out of the box thinking, flexibility, willing to learn, a positive attitude, etc. While the current education system has gaps and challenges, one believes that things are bound to change for the better. It is only a matter of time before both a fresh entrance to the workforce as well as mid-level line manager will try to better prepare by availing online digital courses, leveraging available technologies which will help in honing their skills and also facilitate peer-to-peer learning. Students will become co-creators of knowledge. So students at Canada are not just learning from the book. They get hands-on experience as they learn during their studies. As a student, they are allowed to work part-time during their studies, so they get more experience in work and learn to face the challenges while working, and it will always be helpful in their career too. And with this, I end up my topic today, and we are open to your opinion, feedback and suggestions. So please do let us know in the comment section. And thank you for joining us today, and have a great evening.